and welcome back. In this video, we're going to continue our chat with Amber and discuss the benefits and the opportunities for parents and children in the education space, as well as combining that with our health, because really it's the same thing as we mentioned a little bit before. But if we have healthy children, we have healthy food, and we have healthy boundaries. I was just reading more about this, and healthy moralities, which I would think that we would agree that the private membership association structure leads towards. It's probably not for everybody, but in itself, when we're protecting our liberties and our freedoms, if for me, that really means it's a healthy structure.
Absolutely. I mean, one of my favorite things that Krisanne Hall says, I don't know if it's her coined term, but liberty equals freedom plus morality. And so when we're in accordance with liberty, both components have to be there.
Wow, that's so fantastic.
I'm glad you like it.
I have not gotten to enough of her stuff, but I really do like her stuff. Yeah.
She's awesome.
She's good. So what do you think? Benefits for parents and children in the private education association, or we should just say private association structure, I think, at this point.
Yes, I think that's the easiest way to put it. And I also go back and forth saying all the alphabet letters, and then I just say, whenever I say PMA, it just covers it. So whenever I'm doing presentations on PEAs, so the education side of things, I always say this tongue-in-cheek, disadvantages versus advantages of PMAs or PEAs. And really the biggest disadvantage is having to unlearn everything we've been taught about education, about, listening to authority and whose authority, and unlearning, what kind of education is best, unlearning curriculum requirements and school, education structures, and having to relearn this new philosophy that you as the parent get to choose what's best for your child. Because not every kid, and I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with this, not every kid is built to be able to sit down, shut up, and do your worksheet. That's not how they were designed. And that entire philosophy of education is probably what's driven me the most to look at education alternatives, because I hated that myself. My brother was a very active kid growing up, and he did not thrive in that kind of a system. And I know so many kids who struggle with that setup, and with them taking away more and more recess and movement time. It's no wonder we're having kids that are struggling with behavior and all of this stuff. So that's probably the biggest advantage, is the freedom of curriculum, freedom of hours. Maybe some kids do thrive at 7 a.m. Maybe some kids thrive at 2 in the afternoon or even 7 p.m. And being able to have that adaptability, you have the freedom too of what you document. There's no reporting to any authority, because you as the parent are the authority. And that's not to say you shouldn't document anything, especially as your kids get older in high school, whether they're looking for, whether they're planning for a job right after high school, or whether they're planning on college. And I'm not biased either way. I know plenty of people who didn't go to college and are highly successful. And they were better off not going that route. But either way, whether you're looking for a job or you're applying for a college, you do want to have a transcript in high school of your activities, your extracurriculars, extra skills you had, what classes you took, and being able to show that college, what you've done to work toward this moment. And I love, I don't remember exactly what Ivy League schools were part of the study, but there is a study out that shows the top Ivy League schools actually love seeing homeschool educated or private educated children more than public school educated ones, because they tend to have a more well-rounded education with regard to critical thinking skills, logic, just personal perseverance and stamina and things like that. And I remember exactly the components of the study and what they, included in that. But they actually prefer alternative education children more than the system.
Yeah, I read that somewhere too. I don't think it was the Ivy League one, but that they actually got accepted to colleges more readily because education tended to be so much better and well-rounded. And you said something at the beginning that made me think of two things. One, we can, since we are on the health channel, but we could teach kids about health, because that's being taught in public school.
Exactly.
Because I'm older and my mother was a home economics teacher. That is no longer. So if you don't know how to cook for yourself, then how can
even the home ec that I had when I was in high school, it was bologna. We learned how to make like homemade pizza using a frozen crust. And maybe we did make our own crust. And we learned how to sew. Well, I have a sewing machine. I don't need to, it was so obsolete and outdated.
Yeah.
And it was not helpful. So I totally agree with you. We don't graduate school with actual life skills.
Right.
It's always been something ever since I graduated to create some kind of program for kids when they're in high school, or especially the later years, like how to change your wipers, or, like how to tighten a leaky faucet in the sink, just super basic things that if you're living outside of your parents' home, it's probably kind of nice to know.
Kind of good to know. So, yeah.
Well,
and gardening and all of these beautiful things that is not there. It's just not taught. And those are actual life skills. Whereas I think we're all getting a good look at, I might need that coming up. So in a PEA, you get to choose that sort of curriculum for your kid. Is that right?
Yeah. And you get to choose not only what you want to have, but also what you don't want to have. And we'll probably won't go into that too much, but I'm sure plenty of people across the country right now realize there's certain curriculum that a lot of parents aren't in alignment with. So that's the beauty of PEAs and private education systems, is you get to choose both sides. You get to choose what you want and, what you don't want.
And the other thing that made me think of it, you didn't really say it, but I think it's inherent again in this private structure, is we are taking responsibility for our children's health, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, just as in a private health association or natural health care, we are saying constantly over and over and over to our patients or clients, you need to be a part of this. I'm not just giving you a shot or a pill or something, that there needs to be personal responsibility for your experience and your results.
100%. This whole thing is absolutely about personal responsibility and self-responsibility of, knowing what your rights are, knowing how to assert those rights. And then also just, they always teach us, like, you have to learn history, otherwise it's bound to repeat itself. We don't want to go through what we've been going through for any future generations. So let's put a stop to this and create an alternative that's a zillion times better and back to the way it should have been, back to the way it was 200 years ago.
I agree. And if you're liking what you're seeing, please remember to like, subscribe, and share to this channel as well as the videos. There's a lot of gold in here, and we are going to be back with the third video in our little talks here with Amber Sonalla.